On today's Fellowship of the Rink, the Athletics' Joe Smith and Mike Russo come in, put a pin in Team USA's, again, I don't know if anyone heard, gold medal run at the Olympics, as well as teeing up everything we need to know for the NHL trade deadline coming up here this Friday. Then we're joined by Nate Percy, coach with Rosemount, who made their state tourney berth, talking all about the tourney and may have had a hand in the upbringing of, well, everyone's favorite punching bag turned untouchable prospect, Charlie Stramel. This episode, as always, brought to you by our incredible local friends at Waggle Golf. Everybody, if you haven't already, make sure you go out to getyourwaggleon.com, throw in promo code SP10 to take 10% off your order. They have all the new releases coming here this spring, hats, quarter zips, polos, you name it. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the latest edition of Fellowship of the Rink. Busy one coming off the Olympics and the NHL trade deadline coming up on Friday here with my colleague and good friend Mike Russo. Welcome back, Mike. Do you feel like you're got your sea legs back? You're back on the state ground?
Yeah, it definitely helped that you were on the last road trip to Denver and Utah, so I got a couple days to refresh. But yeah, it was a blast going there. And you know what? The most fun I had was just getting to know some of our colleagues that we really never get to, meet. The Steve Buckleys and the Britt Groleys and the Marcus Thompsons and some of our incredible editors and Terry Ann, who's like our mom over there. So it was pretty awesome.
Like a lot of people were at like the bars at like 7 a.m. on the gold medal game, like all around the Twin Cities to watch that. Obviously emotional for a lot of people. Like, what was it like being there in the building for it? Like, I don't know if you've covered cup finals, you covered big events, you covered like how would this measure up to what you've been around before?
Yeah, it was as good as it gets, just because of the atmosphere with the, obviously United States and Canadian fans, and it felt like the Canadian fans outnumbered the United States fans 2-1. Maybe it's just the bright redness in the crowd that does it, but yet they all got along and had their Olympic spirit, and it was a really good game. And you know what was bizarre about the game is that there was not. I mean, it was weird. Like even when Boldy scored, and then all of a sudden Canada was all over them essentially for the next two periods. There was never a part in that game where I actually thought they were going to lose. And obviously they surrendered the tying goal. They had that one power play at the end of the game where, Celebrini had 3 or 4 chances and just couldn't hit the net. McKinnon had the one shot where he missed. Taves had the one shot where Hellebuck made the incredibly good save. But it just felt like Hellebuck was in control and that they, for the most part, defended well. And then once it got to overtime, you just knew that that it was going to end quick and it was going to be one of the big guns that figured out a way to score. And Canada went for it right away, and it was probably the thing that did them in.
Yeah, I had a conversation with Bill Guerin that ran over the weekend, and he had that aura ring he talked about with the stress levels and how he's not really stressed during games or playoffs, but that it was like literally going off the charts on his levels there during that whole day of gold medal game. So could imagine just being a player or part of that staff, because you lose this game, Mike, if you're U.S., you lose by a goal again. Like, what's the ripple effect or impact of one goal away for like the third straight time?
Yeah, Pierre LeBrun and I met up with Billy the day before the gold medal game, and the one thing that he said then is that he felt like just getting to that point vindicated the decisions that he made, and if they lost, they lost. Obviously, he wanted to win, but that in his mind, his rationale and the staff's rationale for putting together this roster of a balanced roster of players that could play certain roles was the right decision. And so, like the one thing that was always, and I've tried to point this out 3 or 4 different times in articles, there was always this fallacy out there that Vincent Trocheck and Brock Nelson and JT Miller were the reasons why Jason Robertson and Cole Caulfield didn't make the team. the decisions there, they were battling up against the Tage Thompsons, the Clayton Kellers, and the Kyle Connors. And in the end, they just decided to go with those players over them. Tage Thompson scored the golden goal in the World Championship for their first gold medal in 92 years. Clayton Keller was in that game as well. That's not the fault of a Jason Robertson, who was in the playoffs, obviously going to the Western Conference Final. But when it came down to it, those guys sold themselves on this staff. And then Kyle Connor, he played his way out of the lineup in a short tournament of the Four Nations. They decided to give him another shot. They felt that of those players that he deserved it. And clearly it didn't work out for him, and he wound up scratched in the medal round. But in the end, I think that they really did feel vindicated, especially when their penalty kill, was perfect throughout the tournament.
And I was wondering, 1980 was before I was even born. Obviously, you see the ripple effects of that game for so long. I don't know if it'll be necessarily the same kind of impact this gold medal will have on the generation of kids now, but do you think it'll be in some sort of vicinity in terms of the impact overall on USA hockey to have that momentum of this kind of win?
Yeah, I think that that USA hockey has never been better. I mean, just think of the next Olympics, some of the pool that is going to be added to this pool of guys that have a chance to make it. The Will Smiths, the Logan Cooley's, the Matty Nyes. I mean, there's so many great players that weren't parts of the conversation this time around. But then you add in this win, and it's just going to start more people wanting to play hockey. And right now, USA Hockey has never had more people registered. Clearly the National Development Team program, is been done wonders. I mean, so many players. I mean, just look at the Jack Hughes and Matt Boldy, a window there or their class at that program, and the number of guys that were drafted both in the first round in that 2019 draft, and then guys that were obviously in Europe, in Milan for the Olympics. So I just think that right now this is just going to continue to grow the game for the United States, and it's something that I think Canada has a lot of great players, but they have to look at the volume of people here, obviously in the United States, just because of population, but just what the national program in Ann Arbor is producing in terms of players and the development program that they have there. Obviously, it's working because United States hockey and the number of Americans and great Americans in the National Hockey League has never been better.
I think people around the league got more appreciation of Brock Faber in the Four Nations last year, him and Slavin and stuff. I think this year maybe it's the Matt Boldy's turn with that. I think people around the league know how good Matt Boldy is, and you wrote a story after the Olympics talking to other people on the team about him, but just how much has this kid just turned into us? Maybe he'd be a superstar right now, maybe, the way he's playing and what he's shown, the momentum he's built.
I'm telling you, you ask anybody with the Wild and they'll say either he's as good or is better than Kirill Kaprizov, which is scary when you think that in 4 more years, they're going to have to probably give him like 25, 30 million if Kaprizov's making 17. He is just that good. Every single game, every single shift, it feels like he's trying to be a difference maker. And he's, the guy gets 8, 9, 10 shot attempts a game or shots on goal a game. And you're right. I mean, he was one of their better players there. He had a tough first game with Austin Matthews and Jake Gensel. I don't so much think it was his fault at all. They exercised patience, in Mike Sullivan's words, and that line just got better and better and better. And you just knew that Matt Boldy was going to have a big moment, and he obviously did in the gold medal game. But what was really neat is that all 3 Wild players showed up and performed. I mean, Brock Faber was outstanding every game in the Olympics, like outstanding. And obviously we know how good Quinn Hughes is, the only guy in the tournament that had a point in every game, broke all sorts of American records for defensemen and things like that. So the fact that 3 guys from the Minnesota Wild went there and maybe silenced some of the critics that still thought this was fraternization on the part of Bill Guerin and John Hines and Chris Kelleher, and, having players on the Minnesota Wild wind up there. I think that's another reason to feel vindicated.
Won't get into this too much, but I thought you had some interesting comments on the Barrero show earlier this week to kind of put into context kind of the controversy with after the game with the Trump phone call and the guys' reaction to the women's team. I know we've written multiple stories on this. You went to the frost practice. I talked to the guys who came back from the Olympics about it, but in the context of you being on the ground in the Olympics and seeing the interaction with those guys all the time and in the heat of the moment, what was your kind of overall takeaway from where this stands?
Well, one reason why I went to the frost practice is I did want to talk to some of the women, and they have 6 gold medalists on that team. on what they felt, if they were offended, because obviously, you know, you never know with Twitter, right? Everybody gets offended about everything, and this was obviously a horrible moment where the president cracked a joke, and some of the players, not all, some of them, even though they've all been painted as misogynists, you know, laughed. And you know, the one thing that Britta Curl said when we talked to her the other day at Frost practice is that you also have to think of the situation that those players are in. They're in this euphoric locker room, and as she said, judging from what it was like for her to win gold, you know, and this is somebody that's won at every level. I think she's won a world championship, an Olympic, a national championship, obviously Walter Cups. You know, that when you're in a victorious locker room, that you're going to laugh at anything, and that she doesn't even know if it registered. That's also what Taylor Heisey said. And Taylor Heisey also pointed out to me that you could hear before he dropped the punchline that, you know, Matthew Tkachuk said absolutely the women should come, and that you know, Brock Nelson and Dylan Larkin screamed 2 for 2. And the reality is that after the men won the gold medal game, so when the women won the gold medal game, it was on Thursday night. The American men had a semifinal to get ready for the next day. So when the women got back from their partying at the Winter House and all those type of things, got back at 4 a.m., they were all asleep. But the men left a bunch of stuff in the common room for them to have a party with. But then when the men got back at 4 a.m. from their partying, the women were still in the Olympic Village, and they all hung out and you know, chopped it up, as Megan Keller has said, and Abby Murphy has said, and Hillary Knight have said, you know, until the wee hours of the morning. And so the point is that the interactions that both the men and women had throughout the tournament was nothing but mutual respect. The men went to a lot of their games. And, you know, look, I get that it offended some people and things like that. But I think that, you know, other than a 2-second laugh at an inappropriate joke, it shouldn't be overshadowed by the amount of respect that they all had for each other. And look, I mean, you could hear the adulation that the Tkachuk brothers talked about, especially on the Carolina Harveys and the Abby Murphys throughout the tournament. You know, Jack and Quinn Hughes' mom, you know, was part of the gold medal winning staff of the women's team. So there was a lot of respect there, and obviously it was an unfortunate thing. It all stems from Kash Patel being in there, and obviously videos going. And that's a story for another day. I know you addressed it in your story today with Bill Guerin on, you know, this all starts by us seeing that video of Kash Patel in there, and that's why this all got out, and maybe all the bad that has been portrayed since this, you know, that has alienated a lot of the country for obvious political reasons. It really starts with letting somebody in the locker room that really had nothing to do at all with the victory. And maybe that's a lesson for the next time, anytime any team wins a championship, is that, you know, you should only be in that room if you're part of the team.
Or your families, right? Or maybe families could get in there to do it. Obviously, you're on the SNL beat as well, and you're on the Rock 30 Rock beat now. How do you think the Saturday Night Live show went with Quinn? Do you think they kind of helped things by how they made that joke there at the end with the women's team allowing the guys to show up there?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was definitely clever. We you know, to give people a little inside baseball. So Joe and I wrote the story that night that Quinn Hughes and most likely Jack were going to be on SNL, and all hell broke loose because SNL does not like to have these secrets divulged to the world. But we saw it on FanDuel, we confirmed it, and we put it out there. And it became a bit of a worry for 24 hours on whether or not they were going to pull the plug on Quinn and Jack just because they were part of it. They obviously decided to continue it. I had found out the next day that both Megan Keller and Hillary Knight was there, but this one I 100% kept a secret. So I knew what was going to happen. I was able to kind of pre-write my story. I didn't know what the skit was going to be, but I thought it was clever. I don't think it was like, you know, a lot of people think like, oh, the NHL worked overtime to repair from a PR perspective. Do you really think that Lorne Michaels, who's done Saturday Night Live forever, is going to get a call from the NHL and be like, hey, we need to put the Hughes brothers on to repair this? You know, that's not how it works. This was something that the writers came up with. It actually, I thought, went over well. You know, when you have hockey players on there, I watched the Hillary Knight episode in 2018 when she was on Weekend Update, and it was the same type of thing where you're not trying to be an actor. It's a cameo. You're laughing, you're having fun, you're showing it. And so, I saw some people ripping Jack and Quinn for their acting ability. That was not what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be them kind of in there awkwardly, and then sort of Connor Story playing the sort of the guy that's throwing the little deadpan. So I thought it was really well. Obviously, Hillary Knight dropped the line of the night by saying that it was their turn to be there, and they just invited the men's guys, which obviously was a shot at Trump. But it was look, it was good. It's exciting, and I know that I've seen a lot of, and you could talk about this too, Joe. I've seen a lot of a backlash online about just the fact that Quinn is essentially not getting any sleep, right? I mean, he has traveled literally every day since Milan, right? Sunday he wins the gold, Monday he flies to Miami, Tuesday he flies to Washington, Wednesday he flies to Minnesota and Denver. Thursday night he flies to Utah. Friday night he flies home. Saturday he flies to New York. Sunday he flies back here to play the Blues today. Monday he's going to go back to New York. Tuesday he's flying back to play the Lightning, and Wednesday he'll hopefully get some rest. But look, what the good of this, of growing the game, making hockey a household thing on SNL is huge. And then the other thing is the Minnesota Wild. Like, this team is becoming some part of the vernacular out there of just being we've long considered ourselves here in Minnesota this hockey hotbed, but yet we've sort of been forgotten in the NHL. They're middling. They never get past the first round. Yeah, it's they're this cute team, but really, who wants to play there? It's different now. Quinn openly embraced coming here. He's now going on things like SNL and Jimmy Fallon and things like that. And you and I talked about the other day, when people like Steven Stamkos, who's one of the smartest hockey people in the NHL, who knows everything about teams. He's basically like Quinn that way. When he's saying, I actually want to play there if I get traded, that suddenly starts to speak volumes and puts his team on the map in terms of being a destination. So for Quinn Hughes to be tired for a couple games, I think the good is far outweighs the bad of a couple regular season games when they have a playoff spot at 100% locked up.
Obviously, big picture, it's really important. The funny question is, what's the over-under on the sleep he's had the last week?
It's going to have to be on planes, because I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine how little sleep he's had. And a lot of these guys, I mean, Jack Hughes, same thing. I mean, he went to Indianapolis to do the Pat McAfee show. Yesterday I wrote in this story, I got, check out Jack Hughes' schedule, Joe. I don't know if you read my story.
I saw that. Got there at 10:08 for 11:30 recording. It's
crazy. So he literally had a 4 p.m. game. Game started at 4:08 Central. It ended at 6:33 Central, which is 7:33 Eastern. He was wheels up in less than a half hour. Gets to New Jersey by 10:01. Takes a 10-minute helicopter ride to West 30th Pier, and then a car was waiting from SNL to speed them in there. He was in the loading docks by 10:32. So that was 2 hours and 59 minutes from game's end in St. Louis to being in the loading docks at SNL. He had 59 minutes to spare before the cold open. And it was pretty cool. And from the plane, he FaceTimed into Prudential Center, where he was on set for a few minutes with his brother Luke at the Matt Rife show. So he had a busy night as well.
Other guy who'll be very busy this week is Bill Guerin. Trade deadline coming up in 4 days. We've written a lot already on this topic, Mike. I talked to him in Salt Lake City for executive chat on the plans and strategy, and kind of interesting spot, Mike, I think, because I think there's needs here, or he would like to add a top line or front, the top six, center, or forward, but it feels like it might be hard for them to do without giving up what they don't want to give up. So where do you kind of handicap where they are right now with what they want to do versus what they actually can do?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing. If he watched the Rangers game yesterday, he might want to trade for Trocheck today. I mean, Trocheck won after 2 periods. He won 10 of 12 draws. I think he wound up winning like 18 of 22 or something. He had an assist. He had a nice little abuse of officials penalty, and then he scored in the shootout to win. So he was all over the map yesterday, and we know how good he is. I think to your point, and we've discussed this for weeks, when you give up the number of assets that they gave up for David Jiricek and the number of assets that they gave up for Quinn Hughes, and nobody's at all questioning that. I mean, we see what Quinn Hughes has done for this team. It just leaves you with a dearth of assets right now. So right now, Vincent Trocheck's probably the number one center out there, if you're not including Robert Thomas, who's the lone like stud out there. And if Vincent's the number one guy, there's going to be a lot of teams coming after him. And so Chris Drury, understandably, is trying to squeeze the best assets out of every team. And even if Billy offered quantity, who knows if it's the quality that the Rangers would want to give up a player that's 32 years old, still a top player in the league, is got 3 years left on a pretty manageable contract. So I just don't know if the Wild are going to have enough to get it done. But that is clearly the guy they want. They love Ryan O'Reilly, but they keep on winning and have new ownership, and there's pressure to make the playoffs there. We talked about Stamkos. There's Charlie Coyle. I mean, there's guys out there. So, Nick Schmaltz is somebody, but Utah right now is, they want to make the playoffs in their second season in Utah. So it's going to be hard. I mean, I do think that they feel like they have a really, really good team. But look, from what I hear, Eriksson Ek is going to play today against the Blues. But I do think that reminder of him leaving the game the other day is a wake-up call to the Wild about what they are if Eriksson Ek is out of the lineup. They're always an Eriksson Ek injury away from major problems. So at a minimum, I would think that they're going to add some sort of center in some capacity, even if it's a Charlie Coyle or something like that. But I think Trocheck is still the guy that they would love to get. But to your point, Bill Guerin talked to you a lot on your podcast here a couple weeks ago, and then in today's story, on the fact that he knows that they're running out of assets and that he's got to be patient, because if you make a move now and give up a lot of assets, and now suddenly a big game, he wants to go big game hunting again. If one of those players, top players in the league, a Jack Hughes, a Brady Tkachuk, a Nico Hischier, and Austin Matthews, if one of these players ever becomes available, and now you've given up, Stramel and Bennett and, for another first round pick in this type of trade, it takes you out of those. So I think that he wants to be smart here.
We had our colleague, Jeremy Rutherford, did a Who Says No, one of those popular set pieces, and he had with Craig Button on there too. He said, Jesper Wallstedt, Charlie Stramel, and a first-round pick for Robert Thomas. Mm-hmm. Would you or Billy say no to that?
See, again, I think it's a fair trade, but I guess my biggest thing is, what if Jesper Wallstedt can get you one of those superstars I'm talking about? What if Brady Tkachuk says, I'm not going to re-sign in Ottawa, and we know they need goaltending? What if, Markstrom's been terrible this year. What if all of a sudden you could get one of those top players, and, that would be my only time. Jesper Wallstedt is the guy that's going to be able to get you a big stud. I love Robert Thomas. And he has a very good relationship with Quinn Hughes, by the way. They have a really good friendship. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I would do it just because of the worry that something else could come down the pike with Jesper. The other thing that concerns me about Thomas is it does seem like he's got some injury issues the last couple of years. I know that to be true because he's on my fantasy team. And it seems to be always in and out of their lineup. Anyway, I think it's a fair trade, but I just don't know if I would do it.
It's interesting to watch this week too. And who would have thought back in rookie camp when Danilo Yurov looked like a deer looking at headlights, that he'd be such a big development into this team this year, to the point where I think it would take a really special deal for the Wild to even consider moving a guy like Yurov or Wallstedt. But Yurov's going to be cheap the next 3 years, obviously developing into a good two-way center, not a number one center, but a guy who could play middle six center and pretty versatile. So interesting how I think that could be that could be a big talking point of whether they want to make a move or not, is if they don't want to get rid of a Yurov, that might take them out of the Trocheck or whatever sweepstakes that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't trade Yurov in a Trocheck deal. I'd consider Stramel. I would not consider Yurov. And it concerns me about giving up Stramel too, because I really have bought into him this year. He looks like he's got a chance to be a quality player in the National Hockey League. So it's tough, but they put themselves in a position where they want to win now, and I think all Wild fans want that.
Yeah.
It's about time. I think that they have the ability, as we saw against Colorado, to win in the playoffs the other day. Like I think that this team has what it takes. I mean, when they are playing well, I mean, clearly they were dead tired in Utah the other day, but when they're playing well, they're really, really good, and there's a reason why the second, third most points in the league right now. So I don't know. I would not trade Urav right now unless it was for a true star trade. And a big reason for that is just when you give up Rossi and Ogren and a first and Boyum, I mean, you are just running out of assets, and it becomes a never-ending cycle. And then if you don't win, you're really going to be in trouble.
Yeah, it's a hard position, I think, for Guerin to be in because he is in win now mode more than ever before, like you said, and the team is really good. And you feel like you have a pressure of like, oh, maybe if I do this, though, I don't want to look back and say I could have gotten our team better and then go into playoff series. But it's like also in the vacuum of, like you said, this summer could be a big summer for a lot of different people. So, you don't want to just all of a sudden do something for the sake of doing something. And then, if you do have a team that you think could win regardless of what happens in the next 5 or 6 days.
Right. No, I totally agree. And so it'll be interesting. I mean, we I think we both are expecting something. I just don't know right now what it is.
Yeah. And it's an interesting development to see kind of a lot of sellers right now, and there's always a number of buyers. So like, it's kind of like a different kind of market too, to where I think they're waiting things out towards the end to see. So I don't know if there'll be deals on Monday. It might be deals on Thursday or Friday when you're like in Vegas.
Yeah. Well, let's hope not, because I have things to do in Vegas. Let's get it done Thursday. Yeah. So like, actually Wednesday would be the best because we both are got nothing to do that day other than work. But yeah, I mean, like, I do think that there's so many teams. The standings there's so much pressure to make the playoffs. There's so many teams right now that are right there. So it will be interesting. Like, I do think there are going to be teams that are going to start to sell now. Like, Toronto, I think, is going to start to sell. Chicago,
Florida.
Florida might be absolutely in that. Like, Florida, it is totally in the realm of possibility. Who would have ever thought that? But obviously, they came into the season incredibly hurt. But I mean, the Rangers, the Flyers, I think these teams are definitely going to sell. The Canucks, the Senators, probably. I think there are those teams. But again, when you look at those teams, I don't know. I mean, there's just not a lot there that I think are going to just push the Wild over the top. So it'll be fascinating to watch.
Final question, brought to you as always by our good friends at Waggle Golf. First, make sure you head over to getyourwaggleon.com, throw in promo code SP10 to take 10% off your entire order.
Is there any concerns you have for the current roster as now, if it goes the way status quo and not really much of a move other than a Charlie Coyle? Like, if this is the team, not knowing what Colorado or Dallas are going to do in the next 4 days too, obviously, but
right.
Like,
and you got to think Dallas is going to do something significant now that they have Sagan on season-ending LTI. So they have, some cap space here. The problem is that Jason Robertson, is going to eat into some significant money when he resigns. So you can't get somebody with term. So they're sort of in the same boat where there's not a lot of guys where, to me, their trades have to be rentals. So we're talking about sort of the same group of players. So we'll see what they're. But I mean, as far as this team, like I like this team, especially with Quinn Hughes on it. I mean, the points per game of every single player on this roster is essentially up. They're scoring a boatload of goals, and as long as they continue to defend and get good goaltending, I think that this team has the ability to go on a run. Like, watching them against Colorado the other day, it was really, really impressive. Obviously, center is still always going to be the concern, and winning draws and things like that. So if they can add some sort of somebody to help, that would be huge.
And if Kirill plays like Kirill too, I think, Boldy's been pretty consistent all year long. I think Kirill's gone in waves where he's been dominant at times and carried him at times, and other times it hasn't been that guy. So if you have the Kirill of last year's playoffs and you have the Boldy of this year,
yeah,
all of a sudden this is a very formidable team too.
And the other thing that I think fans got to realize is that there's chemistry right now on this team. And so if all of a sudden you do add a forward, that's great if the forward's worth it, but that does now drop guys. And then, next thing you know, which where do you put Johansson? Where do you put Tarasenko? You still got to make sure that Ryan Hartman's got a significant role on this team because we know how good he is in the playoffs. Trenyon is somebody that right now looks like he could be a real force in the playoffs. So, I mean, I'm not saying don't get a player, but you have to be wary of, you add somebody like that. Like, where is Tarasenko? Like, do you put him at fourth line wing and just hope it works? Where does Johansson go? Because we know that he's still a pretty important player on this team. So, that's the stuff they have to weigh right now.
And that's something that Foligno said last week when asked about the trade deadline. And is like, listen, like, if nothing, this is a different feeling this year with this group. He's like, if we don't do anything, we're perfectly fine. If we do, that's great. If it's a big picture, big guy, whatever. But he's like, really has to understand the room and the chemistry here and how people are gelling and the work ethic. The guys to fit in, which a guy like Trocheck could very well fit in like that way. But it is interesting to hear leadership talking about, hey, we're pretty happy what we have here. We believe in this group, and a lot of reason to believe if you're in that room too.
No, absolutely. I mean, look at the standings. It's not a fluke.
We're now, 6 months into a season, right? So it's not like it's a good hot start and all of a sudden it'll fall off. Right. But so obviously big week with the Lightning coming in on Tuesday, then some games, Colorado and Vegas, two of the top teams in the West, the trade deadline on Friday. So hopefully by the time this podcast comes out, it's not obsolete and there's not a big move on a Sunday or Monday morning. But thanks again, Mike, for joining, and we keep him busy this week for sure.
Yep. See you later, Joe.
Now, Rosemount High School's Nate Percy. This interview is brought to you by our friends at Waggle Golf. Waggle Golf believes what you wear on the course should reflect your individuality, who you are, where you're from, your hobbies, interests, and passions. All the stuff that makes you, well, you. That's why every design is inspired by the desire to create a piece of apparel that strikes a chord when you see it, that makes you say, wow, that was made for me. Because in a lot of ways, it was. Ready to get your Waggle on? Go to getyourwaggleon.com, throw in promo code SP10 at checkout to take 10% off your entire order. Joining the show today, one of us out of Rosemount, went and fucked around for a little bit, played some junior hockey a couple places, played college hockey even more places, and somehow lands himself back at Rosemount as a coach, now making first in a long time. I actually guess I don't know if they have in the past, but it's been a long time coming for this crew in this community. Rosemount's going to state. We have Coach Nate Percy. Appreciate you jumping on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Scott. Appreciate it. This is awesome.
And I mean, just a quick tire pump just to butter you up and make sure you're nice to me. Like, people need to know. I know you from college. Were you only at St. Mary's for 1 year, or was it 2?
I was there for 1.5 years. And then, so second semester, sophomore year, I transferred out of there. And, just 1.5 years.
So Percy here is our intramural gatekeeper. He was basically the greatest ringer we could have. And St. Mary's, people took intramurals probably more seriously than they should have, but there were caps where you'd only have 4 varsity kids, I think, on a team. And our team, we had you and my roommate Joey, who were both like kind of fourth line tweeners at that point. But I mean, I don't want to place this label on you, but maybe you'd agree. Like, I thought that you were just the perfect person for intramural hockey because your hands were insane. Like, I gotta say, man, your hands were just gnarly. And it was more just probably a size thing that kind of held you back from getting further up the lineup, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. I was pretty crafty with the puck. Going through high school, going through juniors, and I had the scoring knack, but playing with a future NHL player in high school, it was just hey, get him the puck. That's all you had to do. Get him the puck, he'll score. Size was it's funny. I joke about it now. It's like I actually work out harder now than I did back when I was playing, which is hilarious. I just laugh at it. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? But the size kind of let me down a little bit, but hey, I don't have any regrets. Loved every second of it. The intramurals were good to get away from the monotonous grind of the schedule. So no, it was a blast. I had so much fun.
Yeah, speaking of breaking monotony, a couple just kind of oddball questions to kick off. And I haven't asked this one in a while, but for the first probably like 15, 20 interviews, we asked it pretty regularly. I just think it's hilarious. I don't know how much you see it online, but it's maybe once every year or so, it'll pop up where one person randomly posts online, holy shit, did you guys know that the Wild logo is a bear? And like you've got people going back and forth like, oh shit, I only saw the bear. I didn't know there was trees. And then like we've asked a bunch of people like what they thought it was when they first saw it. I think the wackiest answer we got was from Adam Beckman when he was here. Yeah. He thought it was a UFO.
Oh, funny. That's
so
awesome.
I gotta ask you, like Wild come into play, like you and I same age, like it was kind of like right in that weird sweet spot where hockey's probably getting more interesting. But the Wild logo, when you saw it, did you see the trees and the bear, or what'd you see?
You know what the funny thing is the only thing I really saw was like the river,
okay.
You know, from the mouth. Like that's really the only thing I really noticed that much. I'm like, okay, this is kind of odd, like kind of a weird design. And then when someone pointed out that it was a bear, I'm like, okay. And then the trees, but I'm like, yeah, the first thing that stuck out to me was the river, but I'm like, I don't know why, but yeah, it was like, all right, kind of an oddball design. But now that everything like came together and all the meaning on it was like, all right, I guess pretty decent design scheme, I guess, if you want to call it.
Yeah, people rip it. I actually like I've grown to love it. I originally like wasn't the biggest fan because I was like you. I saw the forest right away, and like eventually the bear came to be. But I've always been more of a person that like, generally speaking, couple exceptions, I have not been a fan of the jersey history for the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah, I would wholeheartedly agree with that. Never been a fan, especially the red ones, just the Christmas tree ones. I'm
Christmas
like,
tree, yep.
Man. But now that they brought back the North Stars colors, it's, you know, it's pretty.
I don't like those. I don't.
No?
It's for me. Part of it's like trying to just like bring back a history that's gone.
Yeah.
But for me, the North Star jersey was the logo, not the actual colors.
Yeah.
And like, the colors are fine, but I think them having like the even like the black outlines for part of it like helps it pop a little bit. It just kind of like blends in like the bright color, and it's not my favorite. The Subway jersey, whatever, like it, I see a dino when I look at it, so I'm just like, nope, I'm out. But I know that I am in the aggressive minority, so I'll shut my mouth. The only ones I've really liked were the green script ones, and I wish they could, but I don't know if the NHL would allow it. But the wheat ones in Iowa, love that. If they could use that for their white, even though like their white jersey is actually pretty clean, but I could come up with so many mock-ups for jerseys that I think would pop off the shelf, but I know that's a pretty thing.
You know, I honestly like the throwbacks. I don't know if it's the nostalgia. Like, I didn't like them originally when they came out.
I'm with you. See, I hated them when they originally had them, and now that like bringing them back and like just having it compared to all the other jerseys, I'm like, it's cool as a change up. I don't think I'd want them to go to it permanently, but it looks better than I thought, and it takes me right back to my like I'm always the obscure like player fan. Like growing up, like I loved Randy Moss, but I couldn't have a Moss jersey because everyone else had it. Right.
Yep.
My guy that I was obsessed with was Petteri Newman.
Oh, Newman. I thought you were going to see Pierre Bouchard. I thought that's who you were going to go with.
Bouchard's a good one. Bouchard's a good one. Now you see the branding here. I don't know if you care about Lord of the Rings at all. To be honest, I got so many different things that I like have weird tangents of nerddom for, but Joe Smith and I both like Lord of the Rings. Seemed like a catchy thing to go with. My wife brushed up good branding, so hey, we'll work with it. But gotta ask, like, what do you like outside of hockey? Do you have any nerd itches, like book series, TV series? Do you collect Pokemon cards? I don't know.
So I was thinking about this. I'm like, all right. The funniest thing that came to me was I'm a big golfer, love my golf. I actually collect golf balls from, I try to keep it to out of state courses. Every course that I go to out of state, whether it be Wisconsin, I include Wisconsin as well. But yeah, I have a golf ball holder downstairs and everything. And I've got it pretty much, I think three, almost 4 rows of golf balls collected from the courses. So, just logo balls from the course, from the pro shop. But yeah, that's probably my number one kind of weird nerdy thing. Obviously TV shows. Landman was crushing Landman. Love that show.
Such a weird show. I can't stop watching it, but it makes no sense.
Exactly. I'm just like, it's got so many twists and turns and stuff coming out of left field, and Billy Bob.
Another taco dinner where they're getting in a fight and then hooking up. Yeah,
throwing plates and getting mad, and all of a sudden they're kissing, and it's like, what is going on here? This is like left field, the right field, the center field. It's like, what are we doing? But yeah, I mean, I had to actually wait till the whole season came out before I binged it, and I think I crushed it in like 2 days. It was like, all right, great show. Mayors of Kingstown too. I'm getting
underrated
into the last season of that. So good. I would highly recommend that one. Don't really watch a whole lot of TV in general, but yeah, just those few shows there. And
Taylor Sheridan does good stuff. Yeah.
Oh, his shows are, I mean, Yellowstone, hate how it ended. Curious to see how these spin-offs are going to go, but he makes an unbelievable production. It's his shows are unbelievable.
Well, and the whole like spin out of him too, he was like a big part of Sons of Anarchy, and they had their little breakup. He's like, all right, fine, I'm gonna go do my own thing. Screw you. And like he's done great with it. So
yeah, Sons of Anarchy too. I mean, you can add that to the list. That was phenomenal.
Yeah, that one gets a really bad rap for some reason. I'd like no show ends well. Every show ends on a sour note. Oh, it should have been better. I expected more, but like I think for what they had to work with, they had the best exit they could have.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's like top like 3 of shows that just like made me feel things.
Mm-hmm. Yep. 100%.
So many big emotions.
Yeah. It was just like swing of emotions and like, holy, all right. That was, now you think about it, it's like, that's probably the best way they could have ended it for sure.
Yeah. And so the golf ball thing then, is it something like, I know there's like runners who are like, I'm going to run a marathon in every state. And there's people that are like, I need to have a beer from a brewery in every state. Like, is it something where you like have a checklist and you're trying to knock off every single state?
Yeah. I mean, I actually have them. I got OCD, organization. It's bad, but I actually have them organized out for every state that, start in alphabetical order. I'd love to do every state. Eventually I might have to buy another rack for that one if I'm going to do that. But it's just a cool little quirk that I've done, and I'd love to get to every state possible. But I mean, that just means more golf trips, which I'm totally fine with that. Don't hate that at all. I
mean, I always see you posting too about the big crew. You got what, usually 8 to 12 people going on the bigger trips?
Yeah, we got it's actually a bunch of the high school buddies. It's called Ferta Fest. And we go up to our buddy's cabin on Big Sandy, and then we play Minnesota National. We do a little Ryder Cup, and Dylan Porter, my line mate in high school, has got a big old spreadsheet with, every year we got captains. We actually we have a glue guy jacket actually that is given out every year, and I won it last year. And it's funny, we put patches on it for little stuff that we just come up with during the week or whatever. I can't give away, just in case any of my boys watch this. I can't give away what the patch is going to be, but we've had a few children being born out of the group, so that's pretty special. And it's a blast. I think we got up to 16 dudes last year. We're kind of outgrowing the cabin a little bit. We might have to get some tents going, but I'm 36 now. I don't know how good sleeping on the ground is going to be for the back, but
I was going to say, I think I crossed that threshold like mid-20s.
I need a bed. I need a shower. I need all that good stuff, go swing it around and hopefully make contact. But yeah, it's a blast. It's good to get all the boys back there. And it's like a combination of Rosemount, Northfield, and a couple other places in between there. So cool. Great group of guys. It's fun. It's always my number one weekend of the summer pretty much. So it's fantastic. It's a great time.
For sure. Well, so talk to me here, because obviously right now everything is like couldn't be better as far as the coaching thing is concerned. But I always am kind of curious for people, like, give me the pros and cons list of going back to the community you played in and coaching.
Yeah, it's pretty special. I would say the pros is you get to see the community that you built or helped build. And just to see the kids coming through. And it's funny, last year, actually, Christian Garrity knocked me out of the top 100 or top 10 in points scored, and seeing in the history of Rosemount, and seeing him do that and getting to hand him the puck on that was so special, so cool to do that. And like, just to be a part of that, it's fantastic. And, it's funny. I joke with the kids that are playing now. It's like I got kids on the team right now that were born in 2008, and I'm like, you guys don't even know. Like, I made it to a section final. I went through all this stuff. We had a really good team. Like, we had the pressure. It's like these guys are like, what are you talking about? They call me Unc, the old man. But it's like,
hey Unc,
it's like,
can you dial a rotary phone?
Yep, exactly. It's like you guys don't even know what a landline is, but. No,
it is wild to see some of the ages and like see like for the upcoming draft. Like, I'm sorry, what year are these guys born?
Yeah, what it's like, man, that's just counting the age there, and it's like, holy, all right, well, we're getting up there, I guess. But no, I'm trying to think of a con, to be honest with you, and like the only thing I can really think of is it's a lot of pressure, especially being a top program in the state, coming back there and wanting to win and wanting to make. Not only wanting to win, but just to make good people, good young men, and the pressure that these guys face being a top 10 team in the state all year. It's like, all right, that's probably one of the cons that I can pick out of if I wanted to. I mean, just the pressure of winning and I mean, we get held to high standards, being at Rosemount, being a top 10 team, but honestly, I think the pros completely outweigh the cons, looking at it. I would just have to fall on that for sure.
And for me, like, I can see it going either way, but like I didn't coach high school. I coached like Bantams and Pee-wees, and it was almost like because they know you and they're comfortable with you, parents are way more comfortable being batshit crazy and like coming to me with things. And like they were coming to me. I was like the assistant coach, and they wanted me to like overthrow the head coach because they didn't like decisions he was making. I'm like, guys, like, I'm making these decisions with him. What are you talking about? Like,
it's
like it's more like just the comfortability and then being like, oh, hey, I'm gonna be in your face. Like, no, you're not.
Yep. No, it's we have a pretty tight knit coaching group. It's one thing gets shared with one guy, it all comes back to the group, and I think that's been really key in having a successful locker room. The parents, they can do whatever they do up top there. It's they're enjoying their moment, they're having their fun. We have like a 24-hour rule. We try to stick to a 24-hour rule where if there is questions from parents, that give it 24 hours because it's you want to see red. I mean, my parents were those hockey parents. My mom was all over the place, and I don't think she ever went to the coach, but she you could hear her in the stands, that's for sure. But yeah, no, it's a fine line to walk. I'm always here to serve the head guy. Ricky's unbelievable. I don't even know where to start with that, man. He's been through so much, in his whole coaching career, the last few years, and the pressure he's faced, and you would never in a million years guess that he's just the perfect human being for these kids. It's unbelievable what he does. He would give the shirt off his back to anybody. And it's funny, a few years ago, I was actually at Farmington, and Rosemount, Ricky's youngest son, Rylan, was playing on the squirt team, and they were playing Farmington, so we were there watching, and there was a little scuffle. Casano, who actually coached me in high school, his kid had a little meltdown, and it was funny. Ricky went over on the bench after the game and was like sitting there, like talking to him, figuring out, like what's going on, just being there for him. And that's the type of person it doesn't even have to be our kids. It can be any kid from any program. He just loves the game of hockey. He loves teaching kids the game of hockey, and he's just an unbelievable human being. And I'm so honored to be able to coach with him. And he actually coached me all the way up through actually graduated from college, and in the second year of Bantams, he was on our staff as an assistant coach. And so I've known him for years. I would consider him an older brother to me, pretty much. It's awesome. I can't even explain it.
Yeah, and I mean, dots are connecting for me already. I was going to ask you like what got you into the coaching bug, but it sounds like you're kind of following in Ricky's path, and it's a good one he's laid. But so what would you say you've kind of carved out as your role and your niche within the program then?
So yeah, on the forward side of things, we're on the forwards in the power play. It's kind of funny. I have people ask me like, how do you manage these kids, or how do you do this? And it's like, and I go back to Rick Sainty Sr. was actually our coach head coach all the way up through. And I joke with him all the time. I'm like, so is this what it was like when we were playing, when you're just like, all right, next line, go. It's like, all right, you have so much skill up front. It's like, all right, I can just stand here, chew gum, drink coffee, and, do my hair and look good and watch these kids just go do their thing. It's awesome. Like they're so talented. They're such good kids. It makes my job super easy. Obviously I have the matchups and we can get into more of that later with whatever, but it's, it makes my job pretty easy when you have some pretty talented kids and just run the forwards, run the power play. That's pretty much my niche on the front end of things.
Cool. So let's just talk about the team then. Like, I admittedly, I used to be a lot tighter in on high school hockey. I'm always tuning in for the section playoffs and especially the tournament, coming up here now. Were you guys expected to make the tournament in the preseason? I know it's always kind of the internal communication. If you're top half of your section, it's like, hey, guys, we're going to state this year. Here's how, and here's the shit I need you to do to get ready for it. But outside looking in, would people have pegged Rosemount as going to state?
Yeah, I would say coming into the season, I think we were ranked right around the top 10. The talent's there. This Bantam group, the Bantam group coming in made the state championship last year. We had our high-end group returning from last year as well. So this mix of these two groups here, the talent has been there, has always been there. The question or the knock that we always get is, can we win the big game? That's kind of the one knock we've always had.
That feels just like a Minnesota blanket statement. You guys are just taking on the identity of the Wild and the Gophers.
Yep, we are the Wild. We're the Gophers of Minnesota high school hockey. But yeah, it's funny. There's a stat, and I think I'm getting this right. The last 6 years, our top guns, our big guys, have scored 3 goals in section finals, section semifinals, quarterfinals of the big games, against St. Thomas Cretin. And this year we had our top guys score 3 goals in the Eastview game and then 3 goals in the section final against St. Thomas. It was like our big dog, and this is no knock to our guys that have come before. They were all fantastic players. It's just the knock that we always get. It's like, hey, Rosemount can't win the big game. They can't show up. They can't do this. And it's like this year it was pretty awesome to see those big guys step up. And Connor Schubert's like, you go out there, watch that kid at practice. It's like, this kid, he's just a wild card. He's just all over the place. But then when he gets into that game mode, and it's funny, our assistant coach who coached him in Bantams as well, Jalen Long, he was like, I saw him before the game and saw how locked in he was. And it was like, he knew he was going to do something special. And it was like, all right. He said it after. He's like, I'm glad I didn't say anything before, because you guys would have been, kind of a little worried about it. But yeah, that stat there, just 6. We've doubled our production in the last 6 years this year, and I think that's what really, really carried us to where we are now.
And I mean, you guys pretty much doubled the actual arena capacity that St. Thomas usually sees in that arena.
Yeah, that was an unbelievable.
They're getting carved for that.
Yeah, an unbelievable venue. I mean, that was so cool. It was. And I was joking too. It's like, all right, when we saw that come out, we're like, yes, we're out of Braemar, the haunted house of Braemar with the past. But it was unbelievable venue. I heard the parking was kind of a little stickler out there, but my parents showed up and I think they had to park on the street 4 blocks down or something or whatever. But yeah, the atmosphere that was so cool. It was unbelievable venue. Everything was done top class, even though those Gopher fans don't like those St. Thomas ones, but yeah, it was awesome. Super cool venue. The staff was awesome. It was great.
Give me a little perspective just on the identity for the team. If you guys go on a run or win the whole thing, what are you going to look back and say, yeah, this is why?
Honestly, I think it's how loose we are. I think if anybody came and watched a practice of ours or watched our kids, they're goofing around, they're hitting each other with sticks and normal stuff that high school kids do. A lot of teams, I would bring out Edina. I would say probably if an Edina coach came and saw how our guys are walking around, they're like, what is going on right now? What are these guys? Do these guys know they have a game tonight? And it's like, once they get into game mode and they love to have fun. They love to lock in. They do all the right things. But it's like, I honestly think them being loose and being able to just be themselves is what's really going to carry us.
You bring up Edina. I swear they like have signed some kind of deal or covenant with the devil, and eventually the toll is gonna have to be paid. But I mean, that freaking goal that they got that's all over the internet now that of course propels them then to win. And oh, weird, Edina's going to state.
Yep.
Like,
yeah, that I mean, you could probably do that 1,000 times, and I don't think you could ever do that again. But it's like, hey, hats off to them. They get it done. They got a well-oiled machine. They got great coaching staff. They got kids that know their roles. They buy into it and they get it done. But yeah, it's like, I was talking with someone else yesterday. I was like, that would be Edina to get a bounce like that, though. It's like, but yeah, you got to earn it. You got to play the game. You got to win. Hats off to them, and it's awesome to see what they build. What they, everybody has the saying, everybody hates Edina, but you got to tip your cap to them, because it's like, it's fun to watch. You want to model that kind of program and see what they do and see the success they do, and not model it to a T, but like take things here and there. But yeah, it's like I said, you could do that a million times, and I don't think you could ever have that happen again.
No, there's no chance. So where do you see, and for context for everybody, we're recording this on Friday morning, so matchups haven't been set. There might even be, is there one or two games yet to be?
One game left,
Okay.
White Bear and Gentry tonight, I believe it is.
And so where do you see your team likely falling? I know we're kind of at the whims of however the coaches want to vote, but
I could see us as a 3. I do see us probably falling into that 4 slot, which yeah, I could really see. I don't see us going any farther than 4. So I think we can argue for the 3, get the 3 with our resume and our path to state and stuff. So yeah, and again, it comes down to the coaches' votes and stuff, and how that all plays out. It'll be interesting to see, but would be comfortable with the 4, but obviously, want the best path for us. 3, we'd take 3 or 4, whatever they throw at us, you still got to go win 3 games consecutive. So,
and I mean, 3 is like weirdly just a great spot to land too, because we're in the whole don't hurt anyone's feelings culture, and they only seed 1 through 5 for some reason. And it always feels like the 1 seed gets like the 6.
Yeah.
Like, it's just weird, but no, that's good. So, I mean, you've kind of got an idea of like 1 or 2 teams then that you're probably going to match up with. Like what's the game plan? What's the prep? What's the approach leading into, I mean, first experience for everybody, but what's the lead up look like?
Yeah, we're just, keeping it kind of light here the next couple days. Yesterday we had a light skate. Today probably ramp it up a little bit, get the boys' heart rates up again. Saturday morning we'll have a little skate and a little breakfast and everything, and then I would assume we would get the seedings either tonight or tomorrow. So we'll have a good idea of who we're going to match up against come Thursday. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, kind of just dial in some structure and game plan for who we're facing. I could see us could possibly see an opponent, Grand Rapids, who we actually saw the middle of the year. We went up there and played in that arena, which if you haven't been up to that arena and seen it, it's pretty special. They redid it, and it's top notch, real cool. But yeah, we saw them early in the year, and then matched up with them pretty well. I can see White Bear Lake too. Gentry. I mean, it's funny. Like 5 through 8 could be really anybody, depending on how tonight goes. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see who we draw, and like I said, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll get ready for them, and Thursday puck drop, and away we go.
That's really all you can do.
Yep.
Nice. Well, best of luck to you guys there. Excited to tune in. I'm excited to tune in no matter who's there, but it'll be fun having like a little side cheering interest, because AA, I usually just like pick the least of the evils, right? It's like, all right, who's not a private school or Edina or Eden Prairie? Okay, I'm left with 1 or 2 teams.
Yeah. And it's funny that could possibly be an all public school state AA tournament this year.
Which
if
is
Kennedy
awesome.
doesn't, I don't even know when the last time that was. I'd have to take a look. I don't even know if it ever has happened, but yeah, no, it's going to be pretty fun. I'm still trying to see if this is a dream, and if I have, like the Leo Inception thing where it's like, all right, is this real life? Like, is the dreidel stopped yet?
Top.
Or is the top stopped yet, or whatever it was? Like, all right, well, like, okay, what are we doing here? Is this the end of it, or what? But yeah, no, it's awesome. Really excited.
Nice. And I mean, you mentioned on the front end here that you played with an NHLer, but I mean, just tell me, how fun is it playing high school hockey on a line with JT Brown?
It was pretty special. I know I've said special a lot this show here, but he was one of my best buddies growing up, and just knowing how good he was, and it really didn't hit you till later when you saw him in the NHL. You're like, I used to pass that guy the puck. Like, and I joke with him all the time. I'm like, I got you there, bud. Like, come on, let's be real. But no, we knew he was special, and we knew he had all the talent in the world. It was just, if he wanted to put the work in and get it done, he obviously did, and got to play an awesome career and do a lot of great things, and is still doing a lot of great things for the game of hockey. Yeah, we knew he was special. Even growing up, playing Bantams, playing youth hockey, we were always on a line together, and it was like you didn't even have to know where he was. I just knew, or didn't have to see him. I just knew where he was. Like, I just blind backhand pass, come back to the bench. Rick's like, why'd you do that? I was like, I knew he was going to be there. Just do it,
Did it work? Yes or no? It did.
Exactly.
So thank you, Rick.
Yep, exactly.
So, I mean, obviously, experience with elite talents, no question. We're going to go back, what is it now, 2.5 years to the 2024 NHL draft. Was he 24 or 23?
Was he 20?
Man.
He might have been 20.
Now I'm going to kick myself.
I know. I should have looked that up. I should have known.
I could lie and say I'm going to edit it in later, but I'm not.
So I should know.
We have another show on the network that dives deep into NHL draft prep, looking at all the prospects, especially guys that are going like top 2 rounds. And we do a live draft show every year, and like, hand up, was very caught off guard and surprised when Charlie Stramel's name was called by the Minnesota Wild. And like, after sitting down and processing it, like, we've been pretty big supporters through and through. There was a couple of years there where like, just tough environment, whatever. Like, it just took a little bit longer than we thought. Now he's on the scene, but I saw you immediately just blow up. Like, people on the internet are morons. You don't know what you're talking about. This kid rocks. I know you spent some time with him there in the Rosemount program early in your coaching days. So just give people a little insight into Charlie Stramel, the person, the player.
I mean, just a phenomenal kid. He was 14, 15 years old when he came in, or no, he was 14. Yeah, he was a freshman when he was on the staff there. And you could just tell, like, he would get on the ice and just do things where you're like, a 13, 14-year-old kid, like, doesn't do this. The way he skated, the way he handled the puck. And like, he didn't put up ungodly numbers or like break all these scoring records or whatever in a year. And like, it was like, he did the little things where you're like, this kid has it. Like, he's got the tools. He had the size, he had the speed. And obviously leaving for the developmental program was huge in his development, his opportunity to go play for Team USA and all that stuff. It was huge to get him bigger, faster, stronger, like, understand the game, and just seeing him come in and the way he handled himself, and it was almost like he was a senior as a freshman, and just, didn't really. It was funny. I was always like, Charlie, can you smile? Can you just show some emotion? And it was like, he cracked a little smile, and it's funny, we have his brother on our team this year, Cooper, and he's literally like carbon copy, the greatest kid on the planet. It's like the kid would do anything for you, and he actually broke his ankle up in Hermantown in the middle of the year, and it was like, we were so gutted for him, and like, it just because he's such a good human, and that's the way Charlie Charlie was. He was just the best possible human. And the whole family is the way. The sister, Sophie, she's the same exact way. Like, they're all just phenomenal people, phenomenal kids, you know, and it's honestly, I think him just getting to that next level and understanding his game, and obviously had a couple down years with Wisconsin and getting back to his game, you know, under Nightingale. I think that's what it was at Michigan State, and getting comfortable with him and understanding his game. And I hope he's not a trade chip if we get to that, but you know, I'd love to see him there, but he's done some special things here. He's turned it around, and I'm not shocked at all to see it. Not at all.
Man, I think that Hermantown rink must be haunted in some capacity. Like, it's funny. I know we like talked about it like in college, like once, just when I found out like, oh yeah, you played with JT Brown. There was a buddy on my team. He was a junior when we were seniors, but Riley Horgan ended up playing at St. Thomas. He was like tied with JT Brown, like neck and neck with him in scoring for a lot of that year, which JT ultimately ended up winning. Yeah. And we're single A, so like take it with a grain of salt, whatever. I don't care. But him halfway into the season, it was the weirdest scenario I've ever seen play out. He is going in on a semi breakaway, and the defenseman's right on him and pushes him right at the net. His left skate goes like under the post somehow, and he uses his right skate to try and keep himself up right through the Achilles.
Oh, yeah. There's
like just
something
like
about
the wackiest thing.
Yep.
And now we got an ankle breaking. Like,
yep.
I don't know. Hermantown's up to some wonky stuff.
Could be some ghosts in that one. But we got to see we actually were their last. I think we were their last game in that rink before they opened up the new one.
Okay.
And that facility is pretty cool, pretty special. I mean, they've worked hard for it. They earn it, but yeah, that old rink is pretty nostalgic. It's got some ghosts that are doing something or whatever. But yeah, it's a pretty sweet facility up there.
I'll let you plead the fifth if you want, because you are a coach. But every year the questions are: how much do we hate Edina, and should Hermantown be AA?
Yeah, yeah, it's a fine line. Like you said, the way they run their programs, and Hermantown, you know, it's they can do what they want to do. You know, it's up to them. It's, you know, the school. It's a weird situation, but you know, they do what they do, and they do it business-like. So
yeah,
another great program as well. One that you want to model one after. And Coach Andrews has those boys working hard every year, and yeah, nothing but good things to say about both those programs for sure.
For sure. And you know, half of it's people on the outside looking in, just being like, you're so good, stop being so
good. Yeah, exactly.
Which, like, I get to an extent. It's like, come on, don't you want to challenge yourselves? But for me, really where I draw the line and why I think that they either should be AA or change their schedule, if you're playing more than half your schedule at AA, you shouldn't be playing in the single A tournament.
Yeah, it's you know,
but I mean, again, if they can, I understand why they do, but it's just
it's yeah, they're, again, they want to be the best. You got to play the best to be the best. So, you know, hats off to them, and they win games. They know how to win. It's a winning formula. So, but yeah, it's weird not seeing them at the tournament. That's for sure.
It is very weird, but it's fun always getting new blood. Like, I don't want to see a full tournament of new blood, but it's good to occasionally rotate out some of the regulars.
Exactly.
So you kind of hit on it already with Charlie. Sounds like you just don't want Bill Guerin to make any more trades this year.
Honestly, I go back and forth with this every year at the deadline. I'm like, you know, I go back to the Havlat trades of old, and it's like, all right, well, we mortgaged and I know I can feel like he's all in this year, and obviously with the Quinn Hughes trade, which was unbelievable. Like, getting to watch him play is so elite.
It's like, so different watching him for your team too, because like we all knew that he was good, but it is very different. Not only seeing him regularly, but it's like, oh, I saw what this team was like before Quinn Hughes. I don't even recognize this team now.
Right. It's like, you know, and being Vancouver, West Coast, late night games, it's like, all right, well, you don't really get to see him as much, but it's like just watching the little stuff he does, like picking pucks off the wall on the power play and getting to the center ice and like just moving, and his footwork is just off the charts. Like his deception and his IQ is just, it's so fun to like watch these little things other than just like the passes he makes and little things here and there. It's like the little things in his game and like actually getting to see those is so elite. It's so high end. It's like, and it's funny that we joke around with our guys too. It's like, do you guys like actually watch these games instead of the highlights? Like kids these days, I don't feel like they watch full games. They, you know, you got the YouTube shorts, you got the narrowed down clips on NHL Network app or whatever, and like you get TikTok, to see the goals, the TikTok stuff, the Instagram. But it's like when you get to like sit down and watch the little things that he does, and it's just like it's unbelievable. It's so elite. But yeah, going back to the trading, it's like, you know, the mojo in the locker room right now. It's like, yeah, do we want Ryan Hartman as a first line center, or, you know, like, yeah, I mean, they're winning, you know, it's hard to break a winning chemistry, but yeah, I'd be really curious. I feel like maybe a little more center depth would be awesome, would be ideal. Yeah. Trocheck name comes out in the dots, face-off percentages, you know, coming off a gold medal. I think he's gonna be probably the number one center on the market, so I could see him, you know, paying a hefty price. I think Russo tweeted that, or someone tweeted that, or something. But I could see him, you know, are the Wild willing to? Billy G already showed he's willing to move some assets for a player, right? Yep. So yeah, I'll be curious, and the way that what's his name for Slovakia? I don't Hlava or Hlava, yeah. The way he played, you know, in the Olympics, it's like, all right, well, is his stock high right now? You know, like Wally, is his stock? You know, it'll be curious. I've never been a fan of, you know, mortgaging the farm for overnight success, but like this team, I honestly, and I never thought I'd say this too, but I think this Wild team actually has the opportunity, the chance to, you know, do something really special. So I really hope that Charlie's not a trade piece, but I could see it. Just, he's the big frame center, 6'3", right-handed shot, good in the draws. Like, I mean, that's a top prospect that anybody would be salivating over for that. So as a hometown boy, I don't want to see him go, but, you know, it's it would be bittersweet, you know, just to see him get to the NHL at a point and do his thing, and just so proud of him and everything he's done.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that really begs the question, and one that I haven't fully answered for myself yet, but like I'm a pretty tough critic, generally speaking. Like, I don't think that I've ever seen a Wild team since their existence where I'm like, yeah, this team could win the Stanley Cup. I look at them like, hey, they could mess around and maybe mess with some people like for a round or two, but like, I've never seen a contender.
Yeah.
This is the first time that I'm like thinking contender.
Yeah.
My question is like, how far can they go with roster untouched? And if they add, say, a Vinny Trocheck, does that put you over the hump to win a Stanley Cup? Because it makes you better. Like, Vinny Trocheck immediately makes the team better.
100%.
I just haven't decided yet if that's what puts you over the hump and says,
right,
we can win a Stanley Cup right now.
Right. Yeah. That's it's funny here. That's we're just hoping to get out of the first round for the first time in you know how long, you know, and it's like you're looking at that, you're like, all right, well, you got Dallas, okay.
And card is 3 rounds before horse.
Yeah, and then you got the next one. It's like, okay, well, then the Avs are there waiting, and it's like, holy, like it's just a gauntlet. But you know, I can see. Does that push the needle? You know, Trocheck getting you into that next step. I think it does in some senses. Another top end scoring winger, you know, that I think that could be another thing to get him over the top. But it's like, again, it goes back to how much do you want to mortgage the future for overnight success? You know, I really think that's the big piece of the pie. And obviously Billy G knows way more than I do, but I'm just spitballing here as a coach fan.
No, Billy doesn't know anything, dude. You didn't hear he totally botched the Olympic roster. He screwed over America.
Only 18 for 18 on the PK, you know.
That rocked.
Unbelievable. So, and that's the thing, guys buying in the roles and knowing their role and achieving at that role and being like, hey, I'm going to be the best I can be on the PK. You know, I'm not going to score the goals, but I'm going to win face-offs. I'm going to kill penalties. I'm going to do the thing. And, get rewarded with a gold medal. I mean, why wouldn't you? That's kind of what we say with our guys too. Like, we've really had guys buy into roles. Our third line full of centers or full of seniors. They've just bought into their role. They've understood it. They've been like, hey, I'm going to do whatever it takes. I don't need to score goals. I just don't need to get scored on. So that's that. And they're all such good kids. They've worked their butts off to be where they are. And for them to own that role and be like, hey, I'm going to do this. It's so cool to see. It's so special. But yeah, that goes back to that whole, like, building that team success and why the U.S. won the gold medal. Partially, I would agree that these guys just buying in these roles, but yeah, going back to the Wild. I mean, I think there's a few things that could really push the needle to get them over that hump. Like I said, Trocheck I could see it, but like I said, another big scoring winger that can move, get up and down the ice, that can pair with like a Boldy or put them anywhere with Kaprizov, Zuccarello, and that's another thing too. It's like you keep adding these guys, and it's like, all right, well, where does Zuccarello go? Where does Johansson go? Where does
that's where my kind of a lot of people are with you, right? They want the scoring winger. I am like, I think our wings are fine. We literally just need someone to fill that top six center role, because is there a better winger out there than Zuccarello? Yeah. But you move Zuccarello down the third line, you're not getting the same Zuccarello playing the same style of game, meshing with Kaprizov. Like, your net gain isn't as much as you actually like perceive it to be. Whereas the center depth, if you can bring someone in who's capable of playing with Kaprizov and Zuccarello, you've then got that second line solidified. Johansson, Ek, Boldy, they've been lights out. And I think the Russian line for that third line has been great. Yurov with Trenyan and Tarasenko, that puts you in a great spot. And then you got a fourth line that's Sturm, Foligno, and Hartman.
Oh yeah,
that's like just that
does meat and potatoes. That's what gets it done. It's like the days of old when we would call up Howla to play fourth line or Zucker to play fourth line, and it's like, all right, well, that's not their role, but
why?
They're a blue chip prospect, and it's like, all right, well, we got to get them up there to see what they are. But it's like, okay, are you putting them in the position to be successful?
You're basically screaming what I've been upset about for the past decade of the Wild is just.
And for the first time in a while, I feel like we have guys that are like in their roles that they should be, in their spots they should be. Obviously with the little tweaks here and there, but yeah, they're so fun to watch right now. The way they move, and obviously the addition of Quinn Hughes is at the forefront of that. Like that guy just lugs the water. That's for sure.
No doubt. Yeah, I mean, as this releases, we're gonna be couple days away from the trade deadline. So by now, maybe we've already gotten the big swing that we're talking about, or maybe people are freaking out and poking Billy to do more. We'll see. Yeah. But we got to round it out then, Percy. I know this is one that's going to be fun for you, being the golf nerd. Our final question is always brought by our friends at Waggle Golf. Everybody go to getyourwaggleon.com, throw in promo code SP10 to take 10% off your entire order. Let's hear it, Percy. We need your dream golf foursome. I need 3 names. I don't care if it's an athlete, celebrity, dead or alive, fictional, whatever. 3 people you want to go out on the course with for the day. And because you're the nerd that's going and collecting the balls and hitting the courses, I need to know what's the bucket list course that you need to hit with them.
Oh man, that one's tough. Actually, no, it's not. I would probably say my dad, number 1. Soft spot in heart, good. He doesn't play a whole lot of golf, but just to be out in the course with him is in this would be great. Tiger, of course. I got to go Tiger. I've always been a Tiger fan, thick and thin. Just the absolute dog in him is awesome. I just love the killer instinct. 2000s Tiger was unbelievable. And then I got to go Michael Jordan, MJ, just another guy that's dog. He just doesn't, what's the saying? He hates to lose more than he wins. I think that's the saying there. And I've actually really taken on to that.
I'm definitely that way too. The losses hurt way more than the wins feel good.
Yeah. It's, find me a good loser, it's, and I'll show you someone that doesn't like to win, that's kind of the motto. But Gosh, I know it's kind of cliche, but of course Augusta.
Yeah, I figured that was coming. Give me a niche one then. Give me a niche.
Oh man. Kiowa, South Carolina. I think that would be the next on the list for sure. Yeah, I would probably have to say. Went down to Myrtle Beach in October, played some golf down there in South Carolina's unbelievable, awesome weather. But yeah, I'd probably have to say Kiowa would be the next on the list after Augusta, the cliche Augusta pick.
I mean, it's the cliche pick for a reason.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. There is one also too out in it's a hidden gem out in Nebraska that I've been seeing. It's Landman, not the show, but it's called Landman. I just watched a documentary on it actually, and it was literally built on a farm field. This farmer and his son were like, "Hey, we should build a golf course on our farmland." And they brought out the two designers. I can't remember their names, but they looked at it and they're like, "This could be unbelievable." They opened their tee times up. They have one day where you can buy a tee time for the entire year, and they sell out. They literally open up their book for the entire year, and they sell out in like 5 minutes. It's unbelievable.
That I wouldn't be able to do that. No matter how much I want to go there, I would have so much anxiety of picking a day. Like, how do I know if I'll be available? What if I get sick? What if the weather sucks? Like, that would give me so much anxiety.
Yeah, way too much anxiety.
Sick for them. It's a great business model.
Yeah, like I said, and they say the wind.
It's got to be the flattest course ever.
It actually, and surprisingly, it's not. It's like super hilly. And they couldn't believe that this land was in Nebraska.
I was gonna say it's the only place in Nebraska with hills.
And they're like they couldn't believe it, and they put a 18-hole course out there. And it's funny the way the wind blows, they change the handicap of the holes and the yardages. So if the wind's coming out of the east, it plays at a different yardage, and if it blows out of the west or whatever, it's. I was like, that is absolutely unbelievable. You're changing your yardages and your handicaps off of the wind.
I am not caddying that course.
No, absolutely not. No.
Dang, that's wild. And end it quick. I gotta ask, because you're a golf guy, how did we feel about Happy Gilmore 2?
I thought the first hour was fantastic, and then when it got really CGI-ish and futuristic, I thought it was terrible.
It was terrible. I think that's fair. And I think it's one of those movies where there's a ton of great moments you can pluck out, and there's like really memorable things. Start to finish, like, not my favorite movie, but that's usually going to be the case with sequels. Right. I think the only comedy sequel that I've ever like really appreciated and loved, I think Super Troopers 2 was damn near as good as the original.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That was pretty good. But like I said, those sequels or whatever are usually just like, all right.
Money grab.
I haven't watched Dumb and Dumber, the second one, yet, because it's like you can't ruin the first one.
It's okay. Like my tier before this came out, it was S tier is Super Troopers 2. The bottom of the barrel depressed me immensely was Anchorman 2, and like Dumb and Dumber is in the middle, like
middle somewhere,
nowhere near as good, but like I think it got a little bit more hate than it should have. Like I still think there was redeeming qualities to it. It was funny, but yeah, Super Troopers 2 is the only one that I'll actually endorse.
Yep, absolutely.
Hell yeah. Well, hey, appreciate the time, buddy. I mean, by all means, happy to have you back on anytime to talk wild hockey, and might have to have you back on for a celebratory tour at some point if things go the way that we hope next week, or I guess as this drops tomorrow. Everyone cheer for Rosemount hockey, but good luck, man. And hey, we'll see where that lands.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks so much for having me on here. Hopefully we can keep this ship rolling forward, and just so proud of these kids, so happy for them to get to experience this, and you know, like I said, and we're not done yet. So hopefully we can come back here and have some good news later on. So
hell yeah. Thanks, man.
Awesome. Thank you.
Appreciate each and every one of you tuning in each week with us. Again, hit us up in the DMs, comments, however you want to get at us. If you have topics you want us to hit on, if you have guest requests, anything that you think can enhance the show, we're all ears. Otherwise, make sure if you're listening right now on audio, go check us out on YouTube if you're looking for video, highlights, just isolated interviews if that's more your flavor. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe on the audio feeds just to help us out. Otherwise, enjoy Tourney week, enjoy trade deadline week. It's crazy that we have to have both of those aligned every year, and stay classy, stay to hockey.